Morning, everyone. Another bright sunny day in SA. Nice, a bit of a poetry there. Nice sunny day in SA. Right, that's half past. Okay, we'll start off just looking at the trade we got out. I think it's the only one we got out. There's some of the others, still the other ones. Most of them you might have just taken profit on them. We'll start off with the good one. Unfortunately, the three CFD trades went pear-shaped. A little bit my fault, but a hell of a lot to do with Jerome Powell yesterday. Remember, I said yesterday we'll do Q&As, chit chats or whatever, but rather stay clear because anything can happen. We'll discuss more of that just now. But clearly, what did happen, anybody going short on the dollar or shares in gold would have seen, let's be honest, their ass. So leave them alone just as well. Unfortunately, beforehand, we got stopped out in the FSNOT, but the GS got stopped out. And unfortunately, because of the sudden rise, as we saw yesterday, the Tesla went out. I'm a little bit disappointed myself on the Meta. Looking back, maybe she discussed a buy on it because I find it nicely and quickly reminded me that on the Meta, we looked at it, some news is coming out, and now I forgot about it. And thanks for reminding me, Fonny. I know you're not here at the moment, but you probably joined us now. Yeah, and the expectation was actually to be good. And if I'd been a bit quicker on the uptake, I'd have said for an aggressive trade, could we preempt that expectation, go for a long on Meta? And it would have turned out quite well, but we didn't, so there it is. So I apologize for that missing out. But at least we didn't go into the other fancy trades on a short basis anyway, because that wouldn't have done us any favors at all. I thought there might be a little bit of a hawkish note after the expected interest rate. The opposite occurred. So just as well, we just held back on it because then we would have gone, the dollar's going the wrong way. And remember, you always get a whiplash effect. Not always, but you get a whiplash. Various information goes out. It's called the devil is funny, as information goes out. So staying aside was the correct thing to do as we got a massive jump on gold indices, etc. So sorry about those three trades, but it's going to happen. I'm going to try and keep more of a journal of our trades going forward. I did one of the last couple of months. We seem to be more winners than buyers, the wrong ones. I remember from about 68 to 70%, but I'm going to try and get a bit of journal going. So report back at the end of the month, see how they're going. I had a bit of a chat yesterday morning, Fanny, Anna Marie, and I think it's Eugene, all here now. And so we had a bit of a chat there. They're all good experience and etc. And to try and get some essence of what's going on. In other words, cut through the, I was going to say, the YouTube BS and try and get to the honesty and learn from it. And I thought that was, for me as well, hope yourself, fairly valuable. Okay, now you're on, Fanny. I'm going to have to be quite honest with you, embarrass you. Thank you very much for your post today. I put, as you know, on my VIP, bullet points, and we can refer to them just now. And I'm just apologising before you came in. If I'd been a bit quicker on the uptake on Meta, we could have done something with it. I'd forgotten, and you reminded me. Again, thanks very much. Don't go short. We've got news coming out. And of course, I remembered. And the expectation was good. And I'm just apologising to you guys. We should have looked along on that. Not to send out to everybody in the trading room. to take an aggressive position of a buy on Meta because the expectation coming out, and they're often quite correct on the expectations, you know, and it did come through, and we had a bit of a jump. So thanks for finally arresting me. Don't thank me for forgetting to make use of it, and thank you again for the bullet points on yesterday's speech. I was going to go through it anyway verbally, but it's nice to have the bullet points. So, as you know, I post it to everybody. It's not mine from me, it's from Finally Murray. And so then you can see what happened. Right, before we go on to discussing that, I just want to have a look at CAD CHF. This is the nice one. We got it at 88, it's now 20, now 30. You're obviously clearly in profit. I know one or two have taken profit on it already. I haven't got our TP, haven't got where to go yet. I'm assuming the guys that trade would have modified stop losses, etc. I don't spend too much time in it if you're already in it, or not, sorry, I don't too much time if you're all out of it, which is a waste. Like going back to AUD, CHF, or GBP, NZD, or whatever, or Euro NZD, whatever it was, because I think most guys are out. We still want to keep going back to stuff we're out, wasting a little bit of time. So, anybody still in this one? Anyone discuss further about modifying stop loss or anything like that on this particular trade we got out yesterday? You're still in. Well done. I'm going to answer you here. I'm rather pleased you are, because I've mentioned this before. I think a lot of guys are taking profit too quickly. If you don't mind me, I'm not going to discuss figures here, Marius, but I think you did well, but I think you've done better on this trade, to be honest. And I think, if you don't mind mentioning your name, we won't go into details like that, because obviously that's private business. But I think sometimes we're taking profits on the quick side, and don't always get the TP. And we had a discussion yesterday with Eugene, and a lot of them have reached the TP, and guys are not on board. I'm going to advocate, it's up to you, it's just suggestion to modify. Even if you don't modify it into profit, at least reduce risk. So if your stop is, let's say you entered at 68.88, and your stop is, let's say, at 70, I can't remember the stop, where is it? Yeah, 67.80. You can still reduce it, the risk, even keep it 50 pips or 60 pips away and reduce the risk. So at least you entered risking, let's say, 100 units. Now you're only risking 40. You still could lose. It might be an idea. I'm checking it out. I'm not 100% on this, just an idea. So we have people like Gerard who are still in it with a smile on their face because it's still doing quite well. Because I think we're taking a little bit quickly and getting out to where we made 30, 40 pips, which is nice. But then we're losing 60 pips or 80 pips when it hits the stop loss, which is the wrong way around. We're risking 40 to make, we're risking 80 to make 40, if you see what I mean. So it's just, I'm just throwing it out there. You to do the CAD on, as they say, to ponder and do that. But yeah, move the stop loss. I still believe in that. Protect. You don't want to be, let's say, hitting now 50, 60 pips in profit and then leave it, and then suddenly something goes wrong. A funding comes out, an unexpected one. You didn't know. I mean, a bomb went off in, I don't know, a bank on the Swiss franc area. And then what's going to happen is the opposite's going to happen, and then the other side of the seesaw will shoot up. And then you turn your 80, what's it now, 50 odd pip, 60 pip profit into a 60 pip loss. That's not a good idea. But yeah, try and give the trade a chance, etc. We've had some jip, shall we say, on trades where they haven't been looking too pretty, and they end up actually hitting the TP if you'd stuck it out and not panicked. So remember, get away from the panic by getting the correct position size and do that little mental trick. I'm gone in and I'm going to risk, let's say, I don't know, make it 20 units, doesn't really matter what it is. I can comfortably afford to lose that, and I put into my head, I've lost that as the end of the trade. I will do 3 trades, I can lose 60 units, 20 on each. I can do that mentally. It's all about playing tricks of the mind, basically. Chuck it out the window, then anything there is going to be better. The worst is what you chucked out the window mentally anyway, and it'll be better than that. And you go in without this sort of pressure, what's going down, it's going up, what's going on here, and which is useless energy because nothing you can do about the market anyway, and it might be a little bit calmer going forward. That's just a guess, just a thought anyway. I take you back, not going to bed. I want to discuss that before we go further, what Marius said there. I totally take the point about going to bed with open trades, but if you modify them or whatever, but then again, you can still lose 30, 40 pips on the modifications. You can't keep it too close, and it's annoying. because now you're 2 grand up, but now you're only 800, you're stopped out. I get that completely. However, what was else saying? More to the point. Oh yeah, your target bid there. I mentioned that. I think it was to one dealer. I'm not sure it's in the moment. Yesterday, this target for the day, I'm not so sure about. Rather looking at monthly. I mean, your trade is going well, and you've got, let's say, 100 units per day. I'm use units because everyone's got different figures in their head. But say 100 rand or 1,000 rand, people fixate on it. So I'm just going to make it 100 units. Doesn't really matter. It's an example. You fixate on that 100 units, and you get it by 11 o'clock, and you take it, and then you get out the trade, and then you watch it go up to 300 units. Why do that? Rather get the 300 units a day, because the next day you went into Tesla, and you went into F-Stock, and then you went into whatchamacallit, GS, and then you lost a couple of hundred. Well, it doesn't matter now, because you're still on track, because you made the 300 last day, even though you lost 200 a day. You get the idea. So rather think, ride it, even though you get a situation where you hit your target, sort of thing. Or I think a worse situation. I've been there. I'm not saying they're new yet. I haven't been through myself. I should do that as well and say, right, I'm aiming 100. I've got 90, and I start looking for a trade that doesn't exist to make my target, and end up putting it back again. Not all of it, but some of it. You know what I mean? So rather concentrate on the individual. As I say, when I was watching the Aussie Open, you're not concentrating on the other guy, you're concentrating on your own game. So rather say, I like this trade, it's doing well, squeeze the juice out of it, rather than say, I'm getting out of it now, I'm up 100 units, and then it ends up making 300-400. No, rather ride the shit out of it, basically, excuse my language. That's just my opinion. Again, these all I'm saying is opinion. I've got a bit of experience and been through myself, so I'm empathetic because I've done it myself. But I'm just saying that might be worth looking into, because I do know we are taking sometimes through fear and anxiety profits too quickly, not giving it a chance. Okay, but it's not a rule of thumb. Sometimes you take it because it could be a change around. I get that, but still, it's a pity to see it's coming off and you're out at 50 when clearly you're doing well. And it's hovering. Let's look at a shorter term chart. This particular one I've got a 15-minute. It's hovering a bit, but look, every time it tries to pop up, the sellers are coming in. It's back into breakthrough here. If it does, you want to be on board. If you're not, well, and it does break through maybe around about these levels, maybe this sort of level here, it might be worth just taking it. It's up to you. But it's not an exact science. We're just throwing it out there. Okay. Right, now I want to come to something else Cozy. Right, now we've got this new WhatsApp thing, which you're paying good money for, the companies at least, where I will post a signal to the company and then they will post it out to the individuals, because they update people who got over 500 and 2.5 grand on a daily basis. That's why you need to keep your balance above 2.5 grand to get the extra signals. The VIP group doesn't mean you're getting better signals. We'll do the best we can for everybody, whether they got 1 rand or 100 million rand, you know. But it's just you'll get more because you have enough balance to cope with the extra signals. No point sending you 5 signals, you've got a grand in your account, because now you're going to pick and choose. You might pick the wrong one. So that's the idea. So keep it above. So what happened? They had a bit of a glitch yesterday. I was told just this morning. So I hope everyone got that CAD CHF on the VIP group sent out. They had a bit of a glitch. If it continues, I will then post that signal on my QT group, if you like. Happy with that. Now, going back to your original question, that's just an economic update. You can't make head or tail of it. Well, try and make head or tail of it. It's not gonna make you say, I'm gonna buy the euro dollar on what I'm seeing there. No, nothing to do it. It's make you aware of what's going on. I discuss a lot in the trading room, fundamentals and what's happening around, because everyone had access to information immediately on everyone who trades can afford a smartphone these days. Price has gone down and the specs have gone up. So it's important to know basically what's going on. I don't mean the trivial media chit chat because somebody smacked somebody's bum and shouldn't be doing that. That's just you know, that's a bit of fun if you want. But you keep getting an idea of what's happening, say in Japan, the East, specifically in America or China, whatever. A little rundown, just to make you be more worldly, I think the best way, more aware, because those sort of things you can take into account. Like I can say at the moment, the Swiss franc is fairly strong. Going forward, it's fairly stable. It's been good lately, but overall, it's a pretty stable currency. It's not part of the EU. It's always been neutral. It's not relying on exports because it's got enormous banks there. Well, I'm going to say enormous banks, not physically, I mean with money. Its stability is there. So you think, well, hang on a minute. Now, this is a particular, technically speaking, you might say I'm going to buy the peso against the Swiss franc. Well, technically might be right, but I'd be a bit nervous because I think the peso, make it the rand. The rand is still a bit weak. It might get a bit of a jump, but I'm sending the Swiss franc into the rand without even looking at the chart. I would be a bit nervous, even if I saw a technical possibility there. So it gives you some sort of fundamental understanding. That's the whole purpose behind it. It might be a bit gobbledygook at first, but you've got to Google that. You've got to make an effort to learn stuff. It's a bit of a bore, I know, but anyway. So you pick it up if you read it bits and pieces. I know it's not a page-turning pulp fiction novel. I get that, but if you can pick it up over a period of time, it gives you a few more tools to work with. That's the idea. Okay, but it doesn't mean to say, oh right, looking a bit weak now on the fundamental, I'll go and sell that particular product. No, you've got to just take that on board and then check the charts, because what the charts are all about, all these texts are all about, is quite simply following what the buyers and sellers are doing. I don't care whether you think the CAD's weak or strong. If it's coming off like that, clearly you follow the sellers. Clearly you follow the sellers. You get the idea. You don't be saying, well, I think the Canadians are much better currency. I love Canada. My wife's Canadian. I'm going to go and buy the Canadian. That's no. You get my point. Okay, I hope that answers your question. I just want to go back. I missed a couple of guys there, so I just want to cover everything I missed in. Still in, okay. Move the stop loss down. Where to on the Canadian? You need a bit of a, I think maybe here. Make it about 45. It's on the 15-minute chart, it's a bit too short term. Yeah, about 45. It's only about 14 pips away. That's a bit too, yeah, make it 14 pips. What there? If you get stopped out, if it goes above there, there's something wrong. So make it 45. This is the best of both worlds. It's close enough, it won't make an enormous difference, not like 30 pips away, but it's still far enough away. It's got to overcome several hours of consolidation to go back up there. And if it goes back up, it could be a traded trend. So make it about 45, close that may be. It might contradict what I've been saying, but you see there's a reason why I said that. Around about the 45 mark, and hope it's going to break through 68. Be aware if you're in front of your computer, you're not got jobs to do, other thing on the road or where it's different. But just be aware that if it does get to 68, I personally think the round figure will be a lot of TPs there. So there'll be some short covering positions, which I expect a bit of a jump. It might go through 68, but I expect a bit of a jump before it actually does that. So if you get it to 68, takes a jump, then you make a decision whether do I take it or not. Okay, as long as you're aware of that information. Okay. I hope that's clear. But anyway, I mentioned for Myers what I thought there. I mentioned make trade. Hope that answers your question, Cozy. Yeah, next one. Look at GBP pairs. Remember, got fundies coming up. We'll look at GBP pairs. I looked this morning. I had the Euro ones at side. I'm not going to put them forward, but I'll write them down. You can always look at them. But remember, you've got the fundies. Interest rate decisions coming up on Euro and GBP. Don't forget. That's going to be an issue. We've got non-farms tomorrow, jobless claims today, etc. Set B and or B, you will never get burned. Thank you, Anne-Marie. What is BE? Above your entry level. Yeah, okay, that we mentioned, that's fair enough. Okay, no, you're on that. Yeah. It's a bit more involved than that, just setting it there. Remember, there's no such thing as the easy no-brainer in this. That's what we'll be discussing. Morning, Roger and Fulcher. I didn't really have to mention that. We've done that. Thanks. Once you set your beard, no way. Well, not quite true, Tefo. Not quite true. I'm just enlightening you on that. Remember, your stop loss TP is a buy or sell order. If you're going short, the SL and TP is a buy order. If you're going long, it's a sell order. You want to make sure there's buyers and sellers there. If there are buyers and sellers, your SL is irrelevant. That's why you won't go into, let's say, a penny share because there's no volumes. All right, Forex, the volumes, I get that. But you can have a bomb going off. I had a fucking great example, a bomb going off somewhere, and you could go right through it. So, example, let's just take the NAS. We call it slippage, so you know going forward. Right. You decided to sell short here, right? Yesterday at 9 o'clock, you decided to sell short here. And then, I'm not saying it did happen, I'm saying example, he comes on and he says, we're going to have an expected 0.25%. He's looked at the figures and he's declaring 0% increase, none whatsoever. This will jump to there and open up. Your stop is there, it'll go through it, it'll jump, there'll be a gap. So it's not set in stone. I know IG have guarantees on it, but I don't think it's worth it because you pay good money to guarantee the stop. And I find the premium, that's why they do it, like insurance premiums set, so the company makes money, you get it. So it's a nice money spinner for them because I would say it happens once in 200 or 300 times where you need it. So you're paying all the insurance and then you're paying £1,000 insurance to protect yourself against maybe a 200 rand loss. It's not worth it if you get the point. But that's just my opinion, and be as it may. But it's not guaranteeing it, but the likelihood is there. Yeah, I want to be clarified on that. No, I haven't said a single today. I'm going to look at Brent. I think gold might have to wait for a pullback. I'm looking at Brent for a buy, I might get a better price. I'm looking at maybe the possibility of US dollar, Japanese yen, despite dollar weakness, but I didn't see one to send out at the moment, so no. But if I will, you'll get them, no problem. But no harm in reminding you, please. Yeah, I might have forgotten, but it doesn't happen very often, yeah. So I will post if there is. I keep Eurodollar start retracing and put that down because the possibility there, yeah. I think I mentioned quite a while back that expect the dollar maybe come back to the 100 mark. I haven't quite reached that yet. But yeah, I think it's getting to the stage where it's sort of finding a bit of a ground. We're not out of the economic woods yet, far from it. And I think maybe we might get a little bit of a move up. 101's been regained, so we shall see. Thanks, and Cozy. Just make sure go through a few more. Hi, Zeph. Euro dollar, we'll do that in a moment. GBP USD. Remember, GBP AUD, it's interest rate decisions. We want to discuss that in a moment as well. CAD CHF. Not now, we're not. No, that's too late. CAD CHF, you're in, great. If you're not, don't go for it now. No, that ship is seriously settled. If you got 500 rand or more, you should receive that signal. And it clearly says at 88. It's about 28 at the moment. That's 60 pips away. That is a guaranteed ship sell. You know, sell short in Joburg to go down to Durban, damn things in Peter Maris, and your stop losses in Pretoria, clearly not a good idea. Hope that makes sense. Okay, I haven't entered yet. Should I do it? It's too late, or far too late. Oh, thanks. Yes, just see that. You're fine. Yeah, much too late. Quite right. It's still good for buys. We'll discuss. I've got it right to discuss as well, Tembe. Yeah. Okay, I just want to go through those questions there. I've answered it. Yeah. Right, the bullet points, which I did post from Barney onto all you guys. I'm going to tell you right now, not one single one of them was unexpected. I've mentioned the last few days the likelihood, and there was nothing unexpected whatsoever. So why do you get this reaction? We often talk in here, and it's so important about the psychology. We are emotional, psychological animals as a priority or higher than we are rational animals. And I want to put it, I always like to put it so we understand, like boy-girl marriage relationships. You've been married for, let's say, 20 years, and you know your spouse pretty damn well. But there are going to be occasions you say to your spouse, why did you do that? Now, the spouse is going to give you some fob-off reason. Now, why is it a fob-off reason? Because I'm pretty damn sure the spouse doing that didn't know themselves. It's some sort of emotional reaction to something that didn't make a lot of sense. I'm using that because we're familiar with being married, you know? I'm not talking being married about 3 months. I'm talking about 20 years or 15 years or a long period where you think you know the person. And I can honestly say sometimes look at yourself and you think, why did I do that? I don't know. Now, what I'm trying to transfer that is that's why I say, do I think it's good for 25 basis? Yes, I do. Do I think they'll spook the markets? No, I don't. As it turned again. So why is that reaction? It's often emotional over the top. I've seen sometimes you expect an amazing jump like that, and it's been a bit of a tiny one. What? It should have been enormous. Other ones, it's hardly a problem. It's shot up. And I think it's a bit like the news. The fuss they make on something, I'm sorry about the tiger escaping, but it's not world domination. You know what I mean? It's not nice, but then everyone goes up, we mustn't have this and we mustn't have to stop that, and start spending billions of government money because everyone's got so much involved and about one tiger escaping. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sorry, obviously sorry if somebody gets caught in the crossfire because they're running around to tiger jump somebody. But on an international basis, not that important. And that's how we're often maneuvered into emotional, over-the-top reactions. That's the way we are. And I personally think that was an over-the-top reaction. In a way, probably a bit of relief, because we're sick to death of hearing the doom and gloom going out there. I've been not helping by going on the massive debt compared to GDP worldwide and the continuing devaluation of fiat currency, etc., going on, everyone living on debt. I mentioned yesterday that 93% overall of South Africans earn less than $500,000 a year. That means 93% overall earn below 40 grand a month. Now, if you think of 40 grand a month, you pay tax, rent or bond or car or, the other things like clothing stores, your washing machine or whatever, and then your food and your insurance, bloody hell, how to come out on that? And that 93% got to make a plan. So, when you hear at last a little bit of good news, maybe I think the reaction kicked in, because there's nothing to me that was said there was completely, I didn't know already, unexpected. I went through all those bullet points, thank you, Farney. Not one. I could have said that. I could have said that at 4:30 yesterday on the session. You know what I mean? So that's why I say be very careful these come out, because we don't know the human emotional reaction to it. That's completely beyond our control. And don't try and rationalize, because you're wasting your time. If you try and rationalize an emotional person, usually make the situation worse, not better. You know what I mean? So I hope that's all clear. All right, now we can go to trades now. I think it's valuable, that little soliloquy I made up there. I went through, I said there. Now, gold is clearly a buy. Nice to have you back in there. As I mentioned, she's left again. Oh, she left. Okay. But she's on for a moment. Maybe she had business to do. She's quite busy. They asked me about gold. I hope she went in. I don't know. But gold, I said, buy the pullbacks. It's hit three times now, TP. What a pleasure. 3 times we've had it out in the last month. Every time hit TP. Again, that's been rational, so hasn't been paid silly buggers with it by the bullman. The problem is getting in now. Can we get a risk reward? That's my worry. Now, if we're going to go in now, I think the next stop is 1980. Where's 19? That's a bit too high. Round about these levels. Maybe a little bit higher. Round about 1980. I'll put it in. Let's be a bit clearer. There we go. Right. There we are. Right. Can't get any closer to that. Not a neurosurgeon. Never really bothered, actually. I fancied doing it, but I changed my mind. No, but seriously, you need precision engineering on that. Yeah, so I think that's the next stop, which is only at the moment $25 away. But where are you going to put your stop? If you put it down here, clearly you're not going to get a risk reward. You don't risk 50 pounds to make 25. Although we take our profits too clearly, often do just that. So the problem is getting a risk reward. So let's try a 4-hour chart. Maybe we can put it down here. Now that's 4, 8, come up to 10. That's 10 hours away. It's pretty close. We can maybe look. That's too close. Okay. If we do it, let's stay below this guy. Again, it's too far away. So maybe do it below the 10. That's still 20. You might squeeze it down there if you want, but that to me, Johnny, now remember the few sellers are coming in again. I think it's going to go a little bit sideways. People are taking profit, and so it might be a bit of a profit-taking pullback to try and get a better price. It might not come back, we might miss it, but I'm thinking rather try and get a better price before we buy it again. But do not sell it. That's my take anyway. Who asked the question? Oh, Tembi. That's my take, Tembi. Well, as it proves that, please, guys, this is very, very important. I want you to do what guys like Farney, Tembi, try and pronounce your name, Sietso, Gerard, the guys you see, Anthony, Anne-Marie, etc., Brady, is the interact. And I'm pretty sure their progress and learning is speeded by interacting. So it's very important to overcome your nerves and interact. Farney now is more confident, Anne-Marie, Eugene are more confident to interact verbally, which is a lot easier. Then we can discuss it. obviously more detailed into that way, but not everyone's got that kind of confidence. But try and get some confidence to put the question on there so that you can learn. Because you don't ask, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. And then I assume you know the DXY economic calendar. I met one guy yesterday asking, is there any economic stuff coming out later? Well, clearly, he didn't realize just what we've been discussing all the time during that session. So you've got to voice that, and then I can sort of pinpoint it to answer that question. In other words, help me to help yourself. Hope that makes sense. If you don't, and everything's gobbledygook, either do more classes, I don't really ask, I'll give up. Because if you're battling to knowing how to change gear on the car, you're not going to be able to pass your driving test. You know what I mean? And you've got to understand, as mentioned yesterday, the basic maths behind it. Like what margins, how is applied, the pros and cons of leverage, what it actually means, the different contract sizes. If that mathematical is beyond, you're not going to be able to trade because you won't understand fully. And you can't blindly follow signals because it's not quite straight and simple forward to that. You understand why? Very good question, Gary. I have no idea. Very good question. Let's take a guess. I'd like to come back to there. Maybe about 45-ish. You can get a bit better all the time. Can't pinpoint to a number, but at least to maybe that line there, as you can see on the cross there, or maybe a little bit better before we take that. I'm trying to basically look, get a price so I get a stop and a decent stop in the right place to make the reward worthwhile. That's probably the bottom line to answer that question. Thank you very much. See what I'm getting at, guys? Nomi's come up with that. Now, before I answer that question, I'm going to maintain again, there's a lot of guys who spend good money to buy the SMC product, which is an educational product. I am not SMC, completely separate company. SMC issues, by the way, don't come to me. If you go to them, as your account manager will assist you on that. Or the live chat, go to Stock Market College, have your issues on that side, or questions, or academics, or whatever. So I won't be training you because that's unfair on the guys who bought the course because you get the training for free. But I can certainly clarify, and that's a clarification question. And it's important. So I'm going to spend a couple of moments on it. If you can get to there, even better than cozy. I'm not sure. Get there if you can. Pleasure. And 37. ADJP1. I looked at that. I've got a bit hesitant on it, but I looked at that actually funny enough this morning, Eugene. Let's have a look at it. Just a second. I'm sorry, I know it's a training. I'm just going to quickly do it. It won't take long. I'm a bit worried about the euro and the GBP today, Zeph, because interest rates. But look what happened. I don't think it's going to be as violent, far from it, as when Powell speaks. I get that. But still, it could. Just remember just now talking about emotions. Emotions play funny things. So do funny things, and you might suddenly get an overreaction like that. That's a gross overreaction. Virtually completely predictable stuff coming out. That's my worry. The overreaction or underreaction, strange emotions come out, so I'd rather get out of the way of it. Okay, it's like trying to speak to a drunken guy. You don't get any sense out of it. Okay, we just want to quickly do that. First of all, I'm going to itemize them now, just to scrunch a bit. These two are the most important. Who asked the question again? Forget, that didn't really matter. These two, that's the 50 simple. See there? 50, not exponent, simple. And this is the 200 simple. Those, by far, are the two most important. Suggest everyone has them. The others, it's up to you. But those, I'm saying, is a must-have. The next important is the 100. I only put that recently. I don't need to use it much, and I do quite like it. But I'm not going to throw my toys out the pot if you don't use it. But these two I will do. I'll have you before me, and you get 6 of the best. You're legalized now to give 6 of the best. It's legalized now. Corporal punishment in the trading room, by the way. It'll be virtual corporal punishment. You've got to have it. That's a directive for myself. You've got to have it. Okay. All right. And then, and then we get the 100, which I like, so put it on there. And then the 10, which is I quite like it, 10. But these are my individual choices, and these are must-have to use internationally. Why not put all 4? I'm not doing any harm. They're not cluttering the chart, and they will help you. Okay. Once you put them on, it's quite simple. I go to insert indicator, go to trend, moving average, bung them in there. Make sure it's simple. Color you recognize, I'm 200, 150, 10 immediately through practice. Then right click, templates, save the template, put your whatever name you want in there, and then save it. So, and then you can, if you lose a chart, just go to templates, and then you see the chart down there. Okay, do that. Very important. They use as filters and support resistance. Okay, if that was a fundamental, but that would be technically there a sell because it's gone up there and burst through, sell it. But why did it go through? That's a fundamental. The technicals, in the face of a fundamental, useless. Not useless, but I mean, they'll go through like a knife through butter. Fundamental overrule all. That's why we're careful with a fundamental, a major one like non-farms tomorrow is coming out, because I don't care if it's a sell zone, medium zone, the buy zone, anything can happen. Hope that's clear. And you miss, go to, yeah, just go to the portal, go to social media on the menu, the sessions are all there. And I put the time in as well, so +9 and 4. So you don't want to look at something that now 3-4 days ago, Saturday. Right, let's go to the trades now. Don't forget, GBP, I'm going to put it for everybody there again, because I'm sure some guys don't have it. So I'm going to put the, just give me a moment here. This you must have, so I put it on every day. Economic fundamentals is filtered. Add a few. I think I might have left a couple out anyway. The important ones. Finally, probably up to date on that one. I haven't bothered myself, but you can always filter it and add if you want. If you like the peso, add it. You know what I mean? What's what I put on there now? Yes, right. The DXY. That's the dollar index. Those two you must have. Those who don't have it, save it. Keep it handy. Right. GBP economic. What time is it coming out? Right, interest rate decision is coming out at 3:15 on the euro, and on the pound, it's coming out at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Okay, so bear that in mind. Right, so what happens? Interest rate comes out. UK expected 0.5%. Okay, the EU expected 0.5%. Look what happened yesterday. Expected 4% in America. It happened, but look at the jumping around. So is it going to happen 0.5%? I cannot say guarantee, but I'm going to say pretty damn sure. So that is not the issue. It's the reaction. Two things: this cycle of the trade, the psychology of the traders' reaction to it, and two, the Q&A afterwards. BOE, Bank of England, meeting minutes. Can't speak no damn language. Meeting minutes afterwards, and of course the press conference after on the ECB. European Central Bank. President Lagarde, she is the ECB president. You've got to know that name's important. You've got to know the US Federal Reserve, Chairman of the Board, Jerome Powell. This is what I mean about fundamental. You've got to know. So I'm just going to make everyone please mute, because the guy joined the train. That's why I don't learn anything, because it's too busy playing around elsewhere. Where are we now? Okay. Okay, immediately, yeah, you get a lot of that. I don't know what they're doing. They're probably doing something, but then they wonder why they're going to do wrong trades or whatever. That's their choice. Give them food, but they don't have to eat it. It's up to you. Okay, so yeah, so we go back to that, having cognizance of those coming out on the pound and the euro. Go to the request in the GBP AUD, which was a sell. My about 4 hours daily. Right. Whoever asked that question is way back in the chat line, so I can't remember. What they're saying there, it's in the sell zone. You can see that analysis. What I know, lost something there. Let's get the solid charts. Sorry, what happened there? Just lost my charts. That's the noise there. Back now, good. Okay, anyway, right. So it's below all that. So it's thinking, what about a sell down there? My answer to that is it's right on support. Okay, it can be in the sell area undervalued, like it can be in the buy area overvalued. Look at it came down. It could be undervalued. We've got a fundy coming out at 2 o'clock, an important one, with a press conference afterwards on a vitally important interest rate decision coming out. Look at now what is happening. This is only what, 10 hours old. Pops up, sellers came in, popped down, buyers come in. At that stage of the game, what do you think my decision would be? Buy it, sell it, leave it alone. I want your feedback. I've just given information. I want to see guys to start taking part in these. It's a forum where we all discuss together. I want to hear feedback. Thank you, Eugene. What do you think I'm going to say to that? Do you think I'm going to go LIA, buy or sell? What do you think I'm going to say? All right, I'll put it another way. Spot on. I'm going to go LIA. Get it? You get that, guys? Right, these guys, Henny, Nonfinello, and they've been doing it for a little bit. Learn from me, learn from them, and then learn how they're interacting. And that's why they're learning. I'm gonna pick on Paul Anne Marie here. She's certainly been doing this maybe a couple of months, I don't know. And she already has a lot more knowledge than probably about 90% of the people are trading at the moment, because she interacts and she wants to take this seriously. If you want to make money, you got to take it seriously. I fancy making some money. I heard Messi earns a lot of money. I think I'm going to take up football. Do you think I'm going to make Messi's money? You can be rude as you like and tell me, not a bloody million years. Absolutely not. You get my point. Because I'm not really interested in football. For some reason, I don't know why I can burn them back and a little bit older run around like that. But you get my point. You've got to take interest. Okay. Okay, fair enough, Gerard. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Another one, Euro at USD. Oh shit, because I'm trying to agree on that one. Yeah, I'm trying to agree. I'm not so sure the 1.1 is going to hold forever. It's regained its around figure. I personally think any sign of dollar strength, you're going to get an overreaction on the short. I personally think, I'm not sure if it's broken confirmation we go in now, but I think this thing's a bit overblown. I'm not sure the dollar is going to hang around there forever. The euro's doing a little bit better than it was, I must admit, but I'm not convinced fundamentally that it's going to hang around up there. I think that's going to pull back, but I'm not going to suggest it at the moment. There's not much confirmation. The euro's come interest rate decision as well, and that could inevitably strengthen it, even if it comes out as expected, like it happened yesterday in the interest rate decision on the Fed. So yeah, bottom line, I wouldn't be taking it now. But I think afterwards, certainly, maybe even on Monday, because we've got the non-farms coming out. You know, we've got the jobs report coming out tomorrow, which funny things can happen there as well. So, but I'm looking at, I think that's overcooked. But I personally think wait till Monday before we get cute with it. That's my opinion anyway. It's not just about making money, guys, it's about saving money and avoiding losses unnecessarily. If you avoid a loss unnecessarily of £1,000, it's like making £1,000. Another way of looking at it, you know what I mean? Okay, so any comments on that? Anybody want to do it, buy it, sell it, whatever? I give my suggestion, my analysis. It's up to you. Do you want to do something with it? We'll leave it alone. You're happy with that, Marie? Okay. If anyone disagrees, tell me. We'll go back to it. We'll put a calculator up. Yeah, talking about that, don't the KCAD JPY didn't much good. I think that stopped the guys out. Took it. About that, but actually, maybe we'll have a look at it in a minute. Maybe getting to the point where the Canadian is a bit oversold, we can get a better price to buy it. So we'll have another look at it. Some guys, your away, Zef decided to, I think it was buy it. Unfortunately, got stopped out. I stayed my case. I was against it, but 2 guys or 3 guys liked it, so I put it down. But I did state the case. Okay, AUD, and I've been wrong before, as you well know, Zef. AUD JPY. We look at that as a buy. I think you're looking for a buy as well. But yeah, as a buy. My only problem is halfway house. To buy this, I want to stop down here. We're talking 90 pips stop. There, we've got some problems, 50 pips. There, we've got some problems, 100 pips. So we've got to take it to round about these levels here to get a risk reward. If you put a type of stop, I'm not sure I agree with that. You've got to have the stop outside the range. Nothing worse. Getting stopped out for 2 times stop within the range, and it goes on to destination. So the stop's got to be below the blue, and therefore you've got to aim at that. And then you've got the problem of this guy here, and a little bit of problems here as well. So you've got 3 big hurdles before you get there to make it worthwhile. And if it doesn't get through here, and it hasn't shown any signs of doing that, well, since this time here, and even then, when was it up this sort of level here? A fair whack ago. We're going back in last year, November, to reach that. I still think we've got a trading range of about that. So you want to be buying that nearer there than where it is lower. You're basically buying in Harrismith, a stop, aim at Durban with your stop loss in Pretoria. Or maybe, no, make your stop loss in Joburg, you enter in Harrismith, and your TPs in Durban. Halfway house, you get the idea. For that reason, I looked at this morning, I can't get the master to advise or suggest a trade. And that's right, too tight a stop. It's tempting, especially you start, because you say, oh God, if I put it tight, I'm only risking 50 instead of 100 units or whatever. Maybe I'm only risking 100 instead of 150. In the end, you often lose 100 in the noise and the ups and downs. And that's even more frustrating. You've got to say, if you want to make a return, you want to do the trade strategy properly, you've got to get this, you've got to get the stop out of the range. If you're on the fourth floor, your stop has got to be below the ceiling of the third floor. If you've got the fourth floor, it's tight, sure, but the risk getting stopped now is too great. Only bring your stop into the fourth floor when you're in a nice profit. You bought near the bottom of the floor, it's getting past the halfway mark, then you can shift your stop above in the range because then you're protecting yourself. If you get my point, if you don't, just say so. I say most of the stuff I'm saying here is not brainwave stuff. It's basically common sense. Fear and anxiety and emotion often complicates it. That's right. Get your position side right. Get comfortable what's required, and you'll find that the emotions won't be such a negative play on it. Okay. GBP today, and look at that. Right, where are we? Euro GBP. Now we've got funders on both of these. So I'm even less keen on this one. The funding on the euro and the GBP. So what do you want to do on this one? Well, I fit a buy. Well, it's come up to resistance clearly on that one. Clear it's in the buy zone. Tried to break through. The sellers came in. But if it came off a bit, a couple of buys coming. It hasn't broken through yet. So assume there's no fundies, I probably wouldn't be buying it there now. Just purely technically, I prefer to see a break above these guys here, and it must be come down, touch it and go back up again, confirm break, or a pull back here if I do it anyway. But I'm certainly compound with that. If fundies come at interest rate on euro and on the GBP, I'm clearly going to leave that alone. Okay. So anyone want to do this? I'm going to rush on. That's just my opinion. That's not the end of it. I'm not a dictator. It's a democratic forum here. So anybody want to do that, want to buy it or sell it, I'm more than happy to put up the calculator for you, give you some SLTPs and risk reward or whatever you want to do. But if anyone wants to do it, I've given my advice, my suggestion. You've got to mind your own. Do you want to buy it? Do you want to sell it? Or do you want to stick with my assumption you should leave it? And the reasons why. It was fun and games for the bloody internet this morning. No feedback. Right, next week too. Well, literally, you've got to remember, we mustn't ignore getting trades, but I have to agree with you. We've got a few coming out today, and we've got the jobs tomorrow, report tomorrow, and we've got, we've got a couple of things coming out today, not just those, So yeah, but it doesn't say we're not going to find something, but we have to be a little bit sort of circumspect. Okay, I'm going to move on. We got down yours come before mine, GBP-NZD. It's right down support. If you're on board with a sell, you're laughing. We had one out. I think we've done okay in it. Maybe start to, with the funding coming out, might be thinking maybe taking profit. The guys who entered the profit areas of discuss and trading will be in a lovely profit now. Either move your stock pretty close or take it. I wouldn't be hanging around just in case it goes awry at 2 o'clock this afternoon. But as for entry now, absolutely not. No, leave it. Zeph, are you saying you're more busy elsewhere than in my hallowed trading room? I'm absolutely, totally mortified. I'm traumatized. Do you see what he's saying? He's found something more busy than being in the trading room. No, Zeth, absolutely no. I'm going to fine you. What should I fine you? Yeah, 200 bitcoins. There you are. I know a worse one for you. That's so bad. I'm going to make you trade the NGAS. Right. Everybody votes on it. Zeth, for prioritizing his other work instead of mine, is now for the next month, he's got to trade only NGAS. Now that will teach him a thing or two. Hey, what do you reckon, guys? Eugene liked that. I'll bet he did. Do you make that? It's like capital punishment, the #1 fine. If you do wrong, you trade NGAS for a month. That will teach them, unless they'll never forget. When international Euro GBP. Well, I entered. Okay, fair enough. We're all kidding, having a bit of fun yet. But you've been doing it. You got your own eye. You might work out. It happened a couple of times. Doesn't like everybody else. Fair enough. And then have good risk reward. You know the story now. Fair enough. Good enough. Okay. GBP and I mentioned CAD JPY. I'm looking maybe to get a right price. Make my buy now. I was against buying it up there, which is yesterday, because of the range. That's why I was against it. But some guys did anyway. Now we're at the bottom of the range, so it's a different sort of idea. Right, you say, but didn't you just tell me if it's below these three, it's in the sell zone? Yeah, but it's also in the range zone. Just put that in to make it was pretty obvious, but anyway. See, it's also in the range zone. There we are. What is the range? We'll check the range. You might look a lot in the chart. It ends up being about 30 pips. It's a waste of time. That's over 100 pips. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's now look at the weekly. No, bottom of the range, 4 hourly. Just let this guy in. 4 hourly. That's a bit of a hassle there. You see where I'm coming from, guys? 4 hour. You can remember they're playing all charts. This is not the 100-day. This is 100 times 4. Always remember that. It's the moving average of 200, 150, or 10 of a multiple of the candle. Remember that. Okay. That's a bit of a worry. That's a bit of a worry. It's not brackets break through here. This little black line would be down here. I say, hang on a minute, maybe we can take this trade. We've got the dollar out of the way. Canadians now, a little bit similar. So we got that problem out of the way. And I would have thought maybe we can do it. Now, that's hesitating me a little bit. Let's look at the 1 hour. It's trying to move up. But overall, I'm looking at that as the bottom of the range, a possible trade up. Where can we put the stop? Down here. A little bit wide. So maybe we need a bit tighter. Maybe we can put it around about here as an aggressive trade. Make it 50 pip stop loss, and then we can make it is that right? Let's make sure I got the right place. Yeah, make it maybe an 80 pip. Kind of 50 pip stop, 80 pip TP to trade that range. Aggressive trade, not the conservative guys, an aggressive trade. What do you think? Oh, Sharon. Someone's got load, Nomi's got load shedding. The problem is, like I mentioned yesterday, not everyone can afford these expensive inverters. But somehow, if you're going to trade successfully, you've got to make some plan. I don't know to get one, because you can't be trading if you continue losing your internet through load shedding. Can you imagine getting a load shedding just in the middle of a trade? You don't know what the hell's happening. That's where you can go into your phone and put in data. That's where you do that. You might have to be able to attend the trading room. When it comes back on, you can. That's a good idea. Right, instead of lashing out 15 grand inverter, you can always go back and look at the trading room afterwards, and it comes on again on the social media, YouTube, and then make sure you got some data on your phone, so you can exit, enter, move stop loss or whatever on your phone. There, that's saving 15 grand. I want half of that sent to me. I'll give you the bank account after. Yeah, yeah. No, I disagree entirely, Anne-Marie. So you say after the event. You were stupid because you went into GS, Tesla, and what was the other one, F-Stop. Well, no, at the time it seemed like a good idea. You know what I mean? No, I think it's a bit unfair. I mean, I did make my case. In this case, I was right, but I've been wrong before. You asked Zeth. So I think a little bit unfair of yourself. However, I will say a little bit, what you say is correct, is the fact in the sell zone, you were trying to buy it when it was not completely up there and it wasn't in sort of a viable position. It was about fairly near the ceiling on the range in a short area. That's the way I wouldn't have been too happy on. But now it's slightly different. I've pulled back and it's moving as we speak. So if you like to do it, better make your mind up, because it might, your straw might not work otherwise. You might get a bit of noise at 97. It seems to be psychological support resistance, but we still got the, might not have it anymore. Moved up a bit. Just want to make sure we got it. I don't want to take it higher than that. So we'll put the TP just below here. And I want the SL here, which is 97.73. Might not get it now, which will make your mind up for you if you're indecisive on it. Eh? No, won't do it now. You missed it. Some of you had to be on maybe 20 minutes ago. If it pulls back a bit, maybe look at it. But now it's you're not going to be able to see. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so well, if it comes back, we'll do it again. But I won't be joining now because that figure there. And I don't want to put the TP up anymore. Maybe I could squeeze it up a bit, but we're cheating then to try and force the trade. And then, even then, the stop loss is fairly tight normally. You usually have more than 50 pips. So yeah, I'd rather work the parameters of getting in. Let's see if we get an instant sort of pending trade. Maybe 96, lost 96.9. What will that give us? Yeah, 96.9. There you are. You can maybe have a look at that. If you want to look at that as a possibility, you can copy it down. If you like it, and 2 people more like it, I'll write it down. I'll just wait for you to reply on that. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Why do you think about applying on tournaments and memory set or in the FTSE, etc.? Just a reminder, very important. You must keep free margin. If you've got, I don't know, make it 10K in your account, and you've got open positions and you've got free margin of, let's say, 800 or 1,000 or something like that. Don't go into any more, because if you have a free margin, the company, the market maker will start closing your positions because you don't have enough free margin to keep those trades open. You've got to have free margin. I can't give the exact amount, but just keep some percentage. You might, in other words, keep your, I know 80% is margin called, but keep your free margin above 100%. If your margin, free margin 100%, don't enter another trade. In fact, you should really enter another trade when it's below 110%. So look at your margin level on a percentage basis. It says 110 or below, don't enter another trade. You might miss out, I hear you, but the last thing you do is your trades are right, but your margin called on the noise up and down because you don't have enough free margin to maintain the position. Remember, margin deposit is collateral. To lend you the balance, they want that collateral, and that's sacrosanct. They ain't taking a risk, they're getting interest. That's no risk to them. So you got to take the risk and they won't. So just immediately get you out of the trade. Hope you all understand that. It's vital you do. So we get it all the time. You know, why was I kicked out? Didn't my stop loss? Well, what's that? You must know what that is. Okay. Well, I hope so, Andrew. Oh, I can't make a call on that. What do you think is going to happen to the dollar and the pound afterwards? I can give you a guess, but it's a guess. That's all it is. Okay, right. So that trade ship of sales comes back to 9690. We can look at it. Okay, we covered a fair bit and needed a fair bit to be covered. If it was a bit fast for some, hope you had a pen and paper, professional, jotted a couple of notes, were listening and saying, I'm going to take this seriously and just say, you made that point about something. Could you just elaborate on that? That's professional. That's what we want to hear. Not people playing on Facebook and then wondering why they're not learning much. But well, on Facebook, not on this. Okay, let's come to something else. I think we've got, are we still in the S&P? Might have got stopped out, and we did. Where was the S&P trade? Just a couple of days or so ago, trying to find all the bloody paperwork here. S&P trade, yeah, 4140. So you stopped out on that. Sorry about that. So Mr. Powell stuffed a couple more of our trade. Sorry about that. Keep an eye on it. I think it's overcooked. We might get another opportunity to get our money back. It's still got up, so don't get clever yet. But I think it's going to run out of steam. I don't think it's going to take this guy out here. I think it's just the overreaction yesterday. If there was decent, proper fundamentals to back up that, I would say, hang on, this is now looking like it's becoming a bull market. We're out of the woods. We're not out of the woods. That wasn't enough. As I said, nothing there was unexpected. Everything he said there, I could have told you before 9 o'clock anyway. And look at the reaction. So I think this is more emotional reaction. Don't think it's going to be sustained. Keep an eye on it. For Monday, I think we may just keep, give it a bit of a wide berth till Monday, because we've still got several coming out that are going to affect it. But I think we're going to be setting up here and get a bit more juice out of it for a sell to get our money back. Okay. I don't know they're faking it. I think it's just emotional reaction. I mean, I don't know the percentage worldwide of retail trade, but I know since COVID, it's gone up exponentially. Would be a better do more. You know what I mean? So the techs have gone miles up. So get rid of this. Technology's gone shooting up, and the price has gone shooting down. So just about anybody who's gainfully employed now can get something that would be completely and totally unaffordable 10 years ago. Do you understand? They would have been like 100,000, 200,000 rand top of the range computers 10 years ago. We're picking up for about 4 or 5 grand now on a cell phone, never mind a computer. You get the idea. So that's an advent of it. So just about anybody now can actually start getting into this. So that's great. But the downside is the more the retail, the less professional, the more the emotion. Okay. And that can have some funny effects, which even the pros go scratching their heads. What the hell did they buy instead of sell it for? Because that was an emotional decision. It's nothing to do with any rationality. So that's what you got to be a little more careful now if you didn't have that problem in the past. I have to say, to be honest, it's been a little more difficult result of it. I'd say 10 years ago, you just had to follow about 80%, maybe 85%, the technicals, and if it's strong, buy the pull back and away you go. So it wasn't that difficult. But because this enormous increase in emotion is coming out, you're getting some funny moves. Yeah. And a classic example I think you mentioned was yesterday. Talk about over the top. 10 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. It jumped around a bit now the news is out, and then continued in the main market. That's just pure emotion. Okay, well, keep an eye on it. If you want to take your profit, you can. You made it. Do not, for God's sake, lose on it. I've got that down as a winning trade, so you better not lose it. Has it got to 45? You might have been stopped out now. I wondered, yes, jumping around a bit. It might come off if you stopped out and you made a profit. Not quite the 45. It's coming off a bit. It should still be in it. I did hit the SL. Well, all right, you made a profit. Sorry about that, but again, you went in with open eyes. Could have gone up to 50, 60, and then you've been highly fed up. So you made a good profit. So I'll just leave that now. We're done. Let's put a little line. We'll tick through that one, up into other stuff. The only one I found this morning, unfortunately, moved too quick. The ship has sailed. It's a pity. Could have done that one, but we just missed it. It moved out of the risk reward, as I explained in the trade, the pros and cons and merits of the trade. Right. Okay. Just to mention that I will be doing a session tomorrow at 3 o'clock till 4 o'clock. Normally I don't do a session on Friday afternoons, you probably know, but tomorrow I'm doing it half an hour before 3:30. So we've got to be trying to go over stuff before the release of the data, and then just to release the data and then close up afterwards. Right. Now I will discuss that again at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Just some other guys will be coming in because it's going to be sent out to all the guys with 2.5 grand or more. But anybody in the trading room can come in. But if you haven't got any money, rather don't do too many Q&As, because you'll be hold up the guys who want to put real money on. So I mean, if you come into the demo and you want to put £2 on it, not be rude, but the other guys want to do it properly. But if you want to join, you can. But I'll discuss more details. But I would say overall, it's just not exact science. It's not exact science. But I usually say on the Forex pairs, 20 pips above and below, 25 on the S&P. And if you can afford it, don't. If you can't afford it, the NAS and the Dow, I put at 30 pips. Because they're the most volatile. Does that answer your question? Well, I put it for 45. It might have been stopped out. If you're still in it, if you put it 45 now, you might as well take it. If you think it's going to come off a bit more, there's hovering a few bars are coming in, might get a bit upside. So if you're still in it, maybe make your stop loss very close, 50, or take it. But if you put 50 and it comes off and still on, it's coming off a bit. So make it very close. Normally minimum 20 pips. I'm saying make it 10. I don't see a profit go away. So make it 68.50 if you're still in it, and then maybe you might rescue or whatever. But if you're out, you're out. Don't get close. Don't get cute. Yeah. Sorry, Anthony. I keep calling Anthony and Tony. You happy with that explanation? Yeah, good. I'll reiterate again tomorrow at 3 o'clock, but I'm just pleading with guys. If you don't understand, don't do it or ask. If you don't understand the maths of what I'm on about, don't do it. Because if you cry afterwards, it's something good, you did the wrong thing. That's because you didn't understand it. You know what I mean? But long as the concept, I think it's difficult. Maybe I'm doing it I'm not that every day, but this is what I do. But I think even if you're not, I don't think the concept's that difficult. Put a trade above and below. If one's triggered away, you go and you cancel the other one. But don't forget, let's say you went in for a buy stop here. You took it in there and your sell stop was down there. What a pleasure. Maybe you could have done it at 9 o'clock, but I wasn't going to be up for that. So, and you took it in. Before you start playing around this one, you immediately delete the opposite one. The last thing you want is a whiplash to come down, suck you into both of them. That's the last thing you want. So here you got in here, for argument's sake, shut up, took you in, on it goes. Before you modify, close, do what you like with anything, knock this one off and then go back and follow it. If it might come off, then you just say, is it coming off too much? You start to fly off, take it, it's easing off, maybe put your stop there or watch it or have your finger ready to close it, goes back up, hold it or whatever. You've got to use a bit of common sense on that. All I ask is get rid of the opposite one. The last thing you want is to be on a buy and a long at the same. Sorry, a buy and a short at the same time. And that's happened. I'm not sure I do it on the Euro GBP. I don't know, but from past experience, you don't often get such a violent reaction you do on the US. Remember, the US economy dictates the world. The information source, the tech billionaires, the culture, the Nando's, the Kentucky Fried Chickens, the McDonald's, the TV programs, the Netflix, it's all American. So that's why I'm going to stick with that. I've never done a euro or a pound interest rate decision, straddle trade they call it, never. Just not sure the volatility is enough to justify it, because there's always going to be a risk. Here's another point, guys. No, it's a bit late. Has it come off? No, it's too late now. We missed that trade. I will come to you in a moment, okay? You stop loss unit in a moment. Where was I? Yeah. Don't think you're going to get a return without a risk. If the higher the return, the higher the risk. If you want to make, if you put 10 grand in your account, you want to make £1,000 a month. What's that? What's £1,000 a month? That's 24,000 a year on a 10 grand a month account. That's 240% per annum. That's a horrendous return on investment. To try and even think of attaining that, your risk is going to be horrendous to try and make that kind of return. And you might not have the stomach for that kind of risk because you could blow your account. Get the idea. You will not get a high return and a tiny risk. It doesn't work that way. Just remember, you can't take the risk, then you have to put your money in a bank account. Sure, it doesn't keep up with inflation. It'll hemorrhage slowly, but at least you stay fit. But if you want to start getting high returns, you've got to go into the high risk areas. No ways around it. Can't have your cake in this case without eating it. You know? Can't have one without the other. The two go together. Just remember that. But if you went, I assume you're in the CAD JPY. I won't enter it now. That ship sailed. We missed it because too long explaining how it worked. If you see some you like it, quickly get the amount sorted out, bang it in, and go for it. And then you can put your stop and loss and TP in after you enter the trade. It's a fast mover because by the time you entered after putting SL and TP in and faffing around, the ship sailed. Now you can't do it. We can't do it now. The stock's going to be down. I'll show what I mean. Your risk reward is like a 1-to-1. Make sense? That's a pending, sorry, put an instant. That's your risk reward, less than 1-to-1. You're risking £1 to make 88 cents. Are you in it? Because I need that information. Please, guys, be forthcoming with information. Don't make me drag out like teeth. Help me to help you, please. Often I spend half an hour trying to drag the information out so I can answer the question. You know, I need to know a stop loss. Are you in it? I'm suggesting not. We might already be in it. Then you got to have a stop loss. Are you in it? Okay. Well, you can't really have it tighter than that. You can if you like, but it's a bit too tight. So anyway, so there's your stop loss written on there. If you want to make it a bit tighter, but it looks like it's going to get there, so you might be okay. So how many guys took that CAD JPY? Not yesterday, I might like right now. Because I'll put it down there. If I'm trying to get an information from Mr. TK there. Literally, and that's all I want is I want a reaction, basically. Leotili, thank you. Did you get into that trade? That's all I'm asking. Not those who didn't. I'm talking those who did. Not yesterday, now. Since I can't pronounce your name, did you get in? See, and then, you know, an hour goes by and then still not an answer. It's quite simple, yes or no. No, obviously not. I don't know. See, I have that all the time. People, thank you. You've got to move on this because I have other calls to make during the day as well. You know, you've got to move. Require information. Give us the information. Don't drag it out of you. It's time consuming. You might miss the trade, and other guys are waiting as well. Information. People, you know, it's like dragging teeth out. I'm trying to help you, but I can't. You don't give me data. Okay, right. Yeah, there's a stop on there. But it's, I think you're going to be all right. You maybe make it a bit tighter now. Maybe use a 4-hour. Yeah, you make it a bit tighter now if you want. Maybe you can put it up to 96.50. There you are. But you're doing okay, the ones that took it. A couple of people did, some are putting it down. Don't know what price you got in, so I'll make the one up we had previously, which was 96.90. Make it 94. And what's the stop loss? Sorry, the TP 97.73, and the stop loss will stick to the one we got on now, 60.50. So it's going to come right now. Seems doing okay. Might get a bit of noise as per normal, but that should be a stop. So there you are. But please, guys, I think good chance to get there, but your risk reward is up to magnet, so I won't get through. And even now, it's not even very good risk reward 1-to-1. Yeah, it's chasing it a bit. You did, Eugene. Oh, that's fine. 91's fine. No problem with that, Eugene. 97's yeah. But I think you can come right here, Tilly. No problem with that, Eugene. I'll put that one down as a trade. That's how I should have got it. Thanks, Eugene. There we are. Okay, that's fine. Even now, if you want, you can put your stop up a bit to where it is now if you want. Still like a loss, but at least it's reduced. Okay. Did anyone attend, by the way, the 7:30 Q&A with the CEO, Hans van Pletsen, last night on Zoom? Any of you guys? I attended the first one. I didn't attend the others because I don't know the score. But if anyone did, okay. Did Pietro? Yeah. I heard he got a bit narky with what someone, because someone complained about the spreads, and I believe he got a bit narky. He said in the morning, we have a morning meeting, a staff meeting every morning, sorry, 8 o'clock on Zoom, and apparently he got a bit narky. I wasn't there, but I don't know if you noticed that. Did you gain much from it, Pietro, since you attended? What's your impression? Was it Tuesday? I thought it was Wednesday. Okay. But what was your impression, Pietro, if you attended? Or what's the feedback you took from it? I'll unmute if you want to chit chat, of course. So if you want to chat, you can. I've unmuted you all. You did. So you gained from it. Great. One of the things I get back the most from people on it, not so much how much they learned, etc. The CEO takes the trouble in the evening, which is his time as well, to come and do a Q&A. I've been around this business. I've seen other brokers. I've never seen the chairman of the board ever. In fact, most of them, to be honest, I've met one or two of them. A lot of them, you don't even get to meet them. You know, never, you will even know their name when their name are written down. But you get the point. So at least you can interaction, and that's quite risky because you always get some smart ass asking awkward questions. So it's just pretty good. Yeah, I must admit, yeah. He does have a, yeah, true. Yeah. You've got to be careful that some guys might be offended. Yeah.
But you see, on Tuesday, one guy was invited and then he started talking about spreads. And then I just told him, listen, we don't want you here. If you are not willing to go with our spreads, I can show you the spreads of QT is much better, but it's not the time to discuss it. Return the next day. So I didn't attend yesterday, but I know on Tuesday already was a little bit hurtful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't say that either. So it was Tuesday with it, fair enough. Mine as well. But he admitted he was because a couple of people commented on it. He said it was a bit hurtful. But you see, the thing is, I'm going to be undiplomatic to some guys out there listening to this, but I'm going to be honest with you, Fran, you probably know, and you can tell it. Most of this noise comes from people who've got the least amount of money. You've got to have some sort of trade offer something. Now, I'll give you an example. A lot of international companies will have much tighter spreads, a fact. But the reason is they've got billion-dollar books. They've got individuals with higher individual accounts than the entire quick trade book. So therefore, it's worth it. As I say, it's like you're in the shoe business, finally, and I give you an order of 2,000 pairs of shoes a month. You'd probably give me a slightly better price, and I'd buy a pair of flip-flops once every 6 months from you. Now, the problem is the guys who've got, let's be honest, squat in the account, kicking about the spreads, because the only way of any value to the company, which is tiny amounts of money, is to have a higher cost. Otherwise, I'd be horribly honest, they're a bloody nuisance. It takes admin time. You've got to, like to say, in insurance and bank accounts, it takes money to put them on the books. And the return you're getting from such small accounts is so minute. Is it worth the hassle? So I've had that guy, one guy, well, I said, 200 rand. Oh, I don't like it. I said, you can't trade. I didn't tell him he traded at a 5 1. He had 100 to 1 account. Demand's not enough. So I can't do it. He said, well, I can with others. And I said, well, fair enough. Well, he said, well, in that case, I'm taking my business elsewhere. I didn't be rude to him. I said, but nobody else wants your business. You know what I mean? That you try and take it, they won't want it. You know what I mean? And so it's got to be sort of faced a bit of common sense. You know, I want to help the manager come down because I think that chocolate bar of 10 rands is a bit expensive. No, you know, use a bit of common sense. And it normally comes to the people who know the least and have the least money and have the least really. I bet you would have said that a guy got a couple $100 grand. He wouldn't say that. You know what I mean? You want to hold on to that business. You want a one-to-one Zoom me, Farney? How much you got in your account? 500,000? Not a problem. I'll spend 2 hours with you, not a problem. You got £1,000 in your account. I mean, the only way I can make it worthwhile is charge you, and you'll never make it back in the grand account. It's just common sodding sense, and it seems to be bereft in so many. You know what I mean? If you've got squat to offer, unfortunately, you're going to get squat to get back. Isn't that obvious? You know what I mean?
Roger,
Yeah.
last night was actually a very good session, and we didn't have problems and things like that, but we learn a lot, and it was really nice to sign in.
Good. Thank you for that as well. It's nice to back up, because you often ask, and I say, I'm getting a feedback from clients. Well, I say it's irrelevant. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a load of rubbish to the boss, you know what I mean? So my opinion is a little bit sort of pointless, because it's obviously going to be biased. So a client will obviously have an objective opinion. That's why I asked for it. Great. Thank you. But there's nothing wrong with having 1 or 1 million in your account. I'm trying to get that across. But unfortunately, the way it is the fact that, you know, don't expect to get the same return on a 5,000 rand old jalopy as you do from a top of the range Merc or I don't know, BMW or whatever. And people do expect that, and it blows my head in. It really does my head in.
No, but I mean, before you start complaining, do a little bit of research. Don't be aggressive and asking questions that you haven't got any backup information of. I think Harder's attitude was 100%. It's glad I didn't answer, because I would have given him something up. I don't like that type of questions and be offended.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm far more diplomatic, believe it or not, than I would be. If I was the boss, I'd be far less so. Remember, he can do that. If I would say that, he might say, hang on, Roger, you know what I mean? But I totally hear you. I mean, you know, as I say, it's like you're a doctor, Farney, right? And I've done a 3-day medical course. And you say, you know, you've got appendicitis. You know what you're talking about? No, I've just got a stomach bug. That's all it is. You know what you're talking about. I don't think Farney even get an argument with me. You think, this guy's a bloody idiot. Because he's got a 3-day course. I've done 7 years study, another 3 years study, and I've been practicing another 10 years. I mean, yeah, exactly. And it's usually people with no knowledge, no money, no idea, who usually end up being the most aggressive. And they start saying, we'll take a business elsewhere. All I can do is say, please do. You're a frigging nuisance. You know what I mean? It's like me storming to the bank, Standard Bank, with 100 rand deposit, and then say, I want to see the manager, or I'm going to take my 100 rand to FNB. The guy will probably think, well, please go to FNB, because you're a nuisance. You get the idea, because the kicking up, the taking time, the manager's time, and there's nothing, there's no reward. You know what I mean? And they get all offended. Isn't it absolutely blatant, bloody obvious? So yeah, it's I say it does your head in, and you do it with cutting all the time. And it's a worry for the future of the country if you've got caliber so low as that, sort of looking for work and looking for jobs, and they've got so little idea of anything. It's virtually on the unemployable side. You know what I mean? It really does your head in. But yeah, don't be rude or hurtful, but please think, you know. And yeah, I think so I was quite amused anyway when he came out with that. But as I say, I think the problem, I don't know if you found it, but one of the major problems with mankind, or people kind, if you want to be technical about it, is just people just don't think. They just react without thinking. And we all play guilty to a certain extent, but try and, you know, do a bit of research, learn a little bit. Yeah, this is a load of roll rubbish, that trade. Oh, why? Oh, you said buy it. But where did you get in? Oh, I got in at CAD, CHF. But it said there. We said, no, get in at 88. You got in at 28. You know what I mean? Is it?
I completely agree with you. Like my GP said to one of his patients, listen, I'm getting tired of Dr. Google. Are you sure you put in the correct search words?
I like that. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. You want to save doctor money. They want to pay they don't want to pay the fees of the consultancy fees to go to Dr. Google. Yeah. The trouble is, I can't always blame Google about it. Even then, I don't think of the nous to even be able to interpret the information on Google. And some even they have, they interpret to where it's going to be least hassle to themselves, even the incorrect information. That's unfortunately why the mainstream media play everybody so much, is because people buy into the most simplest pieces of nonsense that they think it works. We'll keep on knocking out that nonsense because they're buying into it. I'm just going to Instagram sometimes. The puerile stuff that comes on there, and people buy into it. I mean, I'll give you an example. The United States, and this is not some backwater. The United States, they reckon over 50% of the people in the United States have no idea who the vice president is. They all know the president is, fair enough. We're all like in this country, I don't care who you are, everyone knows it's Ramaphosa. But over 50% in a supposedly first world country don't know the VP is, the VP is, the vice president is, don't know who Kamala Harris is. Maybe some guys over here don't, it's not their country. I'm talking people in that country. And that's what you're dealing with, you know, and it's yeah, not you have to do research or anything. Yeah, absolutely. But then again, Eugene, this is the point. I mean, it's business. I mean, people got their own business. I'm a client and I'm going to buy, I don't know, whatever product you're selling at a large order. I think you will spend an hour or two on Zoom. But if I come in and I want to buy a chocolate bar from Pick and Bake, I don't. The MD is going to call me up and spend an hour telling me how good that chocolate bar is. You know what I mean? You've just got to remember, you've got little, we're not knocking you, but don't expect too much. So I've got nothing, but I'm expecting a lot. It's the imbalance, the seesaw. It's stark. And I look at me sort of blankly when I try and explain it should be the absolute effing obvious. You know, and that's the part I find. But a lot of the times I'm spelling out what should be utterly bloody obvious. And that's scary. It's frustrating, actually. Just because people don't think, you know. Right, CAD JPY. Yeah, it's doing okay. It's hovering out there, but at least you're in profit. If you get worried, take it. If you're not worried, leave it. If you're half worried, maybe you can move up your stop a little bit more. It seems to be holding at the moment. Maybe move it up to there or something like that. Now we've got it on the screen there. And then I'll protect you a bit more. Eugene, maybe put it up a bit. You still take a knock if it comes off, but at least it's a reduced knock. Remember, like I said before, you go in and that's the worst scenario and you've written it off in your head. Any modification towards, not away, that's a completely different ballgame, increasing risk. You start moving it down here. But towards is your worst scenario, just got better. So you're written off a grand risk, now it's only a 500 grand risk. So in a way, if you look at it that way, I've saved myself 500 rand. You know, it's playing with your head a little bit on the positive side. Okay, right. It's nearly 11 o'clock already. Yeah, we'll see later on this afternoon with the euro. I've got a couple of ideas. We can look at the euro and the GBP. Excuse me, later on this afternoon at 4, because those guys will be out of the way and we can make head or tail of it so we can get something going there. And maybe the dollar settle down a bit above 101, hopefully. And then we can maybe start looking at maybe squeezing a couple of dollar trades. I've got an eye on the G number. Euro dollar, yeah. Maybe the pound dollar, yeah. But a particular dollar yen, I'm having a look. Possibility. So we might get something out later on. Okay. Okay, guys. Hope you all had a reasonable trading room. What we have got out was okay. Powell stuffed a couple of things up, but overall it's not too bad. And most of the forex ones have been pretty good. So see if we can carry on the same vein. Do not give up on shares just because you had a couple of bad ones. That just, you know, like that, it doesn't mean to say you write them off after one hiccup. You don't break up a marriage after one argument. So there will be other opportunities to find you get them back. Okay, so just keep chin up, as they say. Tend the trading room, interact like we've been doing, and then things will become clearer and progress can be made. Good stuff. And thanks, guys, as always. Perhaps you can make it later on. Thanks for the feedback. Guys. Thanks, Dirk.